Let's do this podcast thing.
This is Creatures of the Night, and I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy.
And this is our podcast. What do we like to do on this podcast?
We tell stories.
We tell spooky stories. Not just because it's October, but all year round, because we love them so much.
Can't get enough of it.
We're like the Walmart of Halloween stuff. Just nothing but Halloween stuff in our Walmart. If you want to go and get groceries, it's going to be haunted groceries.
Haunted, alien, cryptic, those things.
I found this mug that is the bomb, and it says, Mothman is the only man for me.
Oh my God.
And it was like $8. I'm like, done.
Damn. I mean, you kind of have to buy it then.
So the only bummer is it's not like a big coffee mug. It's like a legit regular size coffee mug.
Well, it allows you to get up and get more coffee. So you take little breaks.
That's so true. And I need to get up more. So that's a good thing.
That's what the eye doctor told me today. He was like, the 20-20-20 rule. I don't know. I don't know if there are 3 20s in there. I think there was, though. But it was like for every 20 minutes you're on the computer, you're supposed to look away for 20 seconds, and you're supposed to look at something that's 20 feet away. I'm like, first of all, I don't know what 20 feet looks like. I don't know what kind of mechanical brain you think I have. I don't. I was just like, I wanted to be like, can you show me what 20 feet looks like? But I know you don't have that kind of time, sir. And then what do I do? Supposed to be setting a timer for this situation, like at work. If I'd love the alarm to go off in the middle of me dealing with a patient and be like, hold on. And I just look away for 20 minutes. But, I mean, my eyesight is serious. I've got some problems, so I really got to work on this. You remember the time that I told you that I thought I was going blind, but it was just a migraine?
Ocular migraine thing? Yes.
Yeah, that I knew nothing about. And you were like, that's so cool that you shared it on the podcast just in case anyone else has the same experience. And so they know what's going on with them. It's so funny that we're kind of talking about this because just the other day, a coworker gave me another health tip I've never heard of that I thought I'd share with everyone. This one didn't happen to me, but I think it might be important for everyone to know.
Nice. Wendy's health tip corner.
Dr. Wendy here. So my coworker was telling me that his roommate had just spent time in the hospital for passing out at home. The doctors were telling them that it was because they had issues with low blood pressure. Then my coworker goes on to say, we should have realized that my roommate was having a problem when they had told them that they were having issues with suddenly waking up from their sleep throughout the night.
Wow, really?
Yeah. But here's me, like being a smartass. I reply, oh, that happens to me all the time. It's just ghosts or my spirit guides waking me up, though. Luckily, my roommate didn't call like anybody for a straitjacket or anything. So he must be hip to Wendy's a nutbag because he just kind of laughed and he says, well, if you're waking up gasping for air, like someone squeezed your throat closed and then just kind of let go, then that's probably a sign that your blood pressure is dropping suddenly as you sleep. But here's me still being a smartass. I'm like, nah, that's demons.
That is, excuse me, sir. Yeah, you say tomato.
I say demons. But his roommate must have thought the same thing because he said that when this was happening to them, they just got up and lit some incense and tried to go back to sleep.
Yep. Why else would they do that?
Right? And then they pass out the next day in their kitchen. So just word to the wise, everyone out there, if you're having issues and you're waking up gasping for air in your sleep, it may not be paranormal. You definitely need to get checked out by your doctor, but maybe burn some sage just in case as well.
Yeah. What is that? Low blood sugar? What'd you say?
Low blood pressure. Your blood pressure is just crashing. And that's, he said it's like your throat will close and then just suddenly open.
Oh my God.
I mean, you hear all about like sleep apnea and stuff like that. So it's not the same. This one's a little different, but, and I've never experienced anything like this. So I do wake up from my sleep a lot, you know, kind of suddenly, but I don't think it's to like this level. It's spirit guides waking me up, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, and I usually wake up several times just to run to the restroom because apparently I have a baby bladder. I don't know.
Well, that too, but like I will hear what sounds like a knock on my headboard and I wake up and obviously nothing's there. But also nothing's happening in my house. So if it's a ghost or my spirit guide, why the fuck are they waking me up? Nothing's happening. I'm just like, what was that? And then after a while, I realized I kind of have to pee. So I do that and then I go back to bed.
I got to tell you something I completely forgot until you just said this. But I went to take a nap. I was in the house by myself and I heard someone knocking on the bedroom door. It just happened just like a knock. And that was it. My eyes were completely closed and I had fallen asleep. It could have been a cat. They don't knock generally, the cats.
No. Just like they don't open cabinets at my house,
Right.
Well, actually, they probably could. We talked about that.
I mean, yeah, Pandora used to be really good with her little paw there. But
yeah, if the cabinet's off or whatever.
I had heard just this knock. And I, it completely woke me up. So I was listening and the whole house was dead silent. There was nobody here. The dog, the cat, yes, they're here. The fish is here. But
it's the fish.
Nothing really has been happening. I've been doing a lot of sage and stuff. So I think that kind of helps to kind of just keep everything even keel around here. But that was I'm still here.
Yeah, and that has happened to me more than once, but just a couple of times. But yes, you hear a knock or you hear mom or... I've never heard Wendy, so I do tend to hear mom, and I wake up and there's nobody there.
Wow.
So speaking of possible evils in the world, for my podcast story, are you ready for it?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do this. I thought we would take a walk down memory lane as well as clear the air in regards to comments we've made from time to time about our experiences, good and bad, from this lovely location.
Oh, boy.
But first, as always, before we get into all of that, let's do the history lesson first. Beautifully located on the banks of the Ohio River, Sedamsville is one of the smallest neighborhoods in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I might need a shot for this one.
Shot. All right. It's made up of only just a few streets. Sedamsville was first established in 1795, though not actually founded as a town yet, by Colonel Cornelius Sedam, a veteran of the Revolutionary War who had moved to the area to assist in building Fort Washington. Henry Sedam, Cornelius's son, took an active role in developing the town along with his father, and together they shared the responsibility of founding Sedamsville in 1835. The Industrial Revolution changed the landscape, bringing commerce and large factories to the area, along with an influx of new residents. At one point, there was over 100 businesses on River Road between Steiner and Sedam Street. Sedamsville was annexed into the city of Cincinnati in the late 1860s. Sedamsville was largely made up of German immigrants, and the community was very close-knit. As the community grew, the need for community services did as well. This led to the founding of Our Lady of Perpetual Help in 1878. And the Sedamsville Rectory was built in 1891 to house the priests that served the community. The facility has over 3,400 square feet of space and 4 levels. Yeah. On the first level is a parlor, a living room, a library, a formal dining room, as well as a kitchen. The kitchen has a back staircase leading to the second floor level where the servants' quarters are located. The second level has 4 bedrooms total and a beautiful staircase going down to the first floor hallway. There is also a staircase leading up to the huge attic where at one time the neighborhood school was housed. The rectory also has a full basement, which is divided into 4 separate areas. The rectory is one of 4 buildings once belonging to Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Sedamsville, like much of Cincinnati, continued to prosper after the turn of the century. Sedamsville had a post office, a police station, a firehouse. Although Sedamsville might seem isolated and remote, residents could take the streetcar into the city, and the Bronsley, I'm probably saying that wrong, Sedamsville ferry took people across the river to Kentucky, and the city had a train station. So they were pretty well equipped.
Yeah, Cincinnati's a booming town.
Yeah. Sedamsville was even once the most recognized wine-producing territories in the country.
Damn, we didn't know that while we were there. What? We would have stayed an extra day.
I didn't see any wineries around when we were there.
Yeah, right. Well, you said was once, so maybe they
once. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the downfall.
Oh.
Unfortunately, the Great Depression saw many of those businesses in Sedamsville close their doors, and then the disastrous flood of 1937 made it impossible for many to rebuild.
Wow.
The city had been proposing the raising and widening of River Road because they had actually gotten a lot of floods. This one in 1937 was just a pretty big one. But they thought by raising it and then widening it that this would help with the water and also just, make a way for people from Cincinnati into other parts of the country.
All right.
But when it was first proposed in the 1920s, there was serious opposition. But after the flood, the business district declined, so there was hardly anyone to oppose the project.
Yeah.
The road widening left the neighborhood without a business district. 91 buildings were razored, and over 100 families were displaced.
Oh, damn.
Sedamsville withered, and so did the parish, which closed in 1989.
Damn, really? I didn't realize it was...
lasted for that long.
Yeah.
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 It doesn't seem that long ago to old people like us.
Right, that's another thing I was going to say. That was just recently.
I just said young cat. So I'm like 60 years old. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm like, oh, really? That was in the 80s?
Oh, that was just last week. With help from the Cincinnati Preservation Association, many historic buildings in Sedamsville have been saved from being demolished. Nearly the whole town is now listed on the National Registry of Historic Places.
Shit, did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that. It would explain why they're still up, right?
Yeah, right.
Some of them are in pretty rough shape when we were there.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a while ago. In 1995, John Klosterman purchased Our Lady of Perpetual Help and its rectory from the Archdiocese of Cincinnati with plans to rent the properties. It was during the restoration process that the rectory began getting national attention for its paranormal activity. Tim Brazil and Terry Scott then began promoting the rectory as a hot spot for paranormal investigations. Sedamsville Rectory has been featured on television shows such as Haunted Collector, My Ghost Story, and Ghost Adventures.
I love My Ghost Story.
Did you really? I watched all three of these to prepare. Obviously, I've seen the Ghost Adventures one, but I watched the other two, and the Haunted Collector one was my favorite out of all of them. And I don't know if they're bullshit or not, but it was the most active.
That's cool. John, I don't remember his name, but...
I don't know. And I don't know that we could tag him in this post and let him know that we talked about him and told him his show was great, because I have to tell you, his voice did not match his body. I don't know what was going on, but I was... voice. It sounded as if he was trying very hard to speak properly, as if he's like a foreigner or something that's trying to speak proper English, or like me if I was on TV trying to hide my stupid accent or something.
Maybe he's got an accent that he's trying to drop.
Or maybe he just speaks very proper and I'm a jealous asshole and that's why I'm saying something about it. I don't fucking know. But out of the three, it is the most eventful show for this location. So, if anybody wants to try that out. Though even after all of those investigations and countless others by paranormal investigating teams such as ourselves, it's still unknown as to exactly what or whom would be haunting the building.
Is it, though?
It is. Some would say the rectory is haunted by the ghost of Father Xavier Donald McLeod, who, along with dedicating his life to the church, Father McLeod also wrote several books as well, such as Devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary in North America, History of Roman Catholicism in North America, and Bloodstone.
Ooh, that one sounds enlightening.
Right? I spent entirely too much time trying to figure out what the Bloodstone was about. And then I'm like, I have to stop this. It's not important to the story. So let it go. And it was written so long ago.
Yeah.
But most of his work seemed to all be about the ideals and history of his faith. So I'm assuming it's about something like that. And it just has a really cool title.
This was all Catholic, right?
Yeah.
Like a Catholic belief. Okay.
Yeah. In 1865, while Father McLeod was on his way to bless a sick woman, he was tragically hit by a train not far from the church. He was only 44 years old.
I mean, trains just don't come out of the blue. You got to be walking along a train tracks, and you have to know that something might happen.
But he had his AirPods in. And
right.
In 1865, you didn't hear this train coming?
He's rocking out to, like, the nuns. How does that even fucking happen, man?
So I inquired about this as well.
Okay.
Not on the internet, though. That probably would have gave me the answer. But just out loud to myself and to other people. I was like, wait, okay, so maybe his car stalled out on the tracks or whatever. But I kind of think he might be walking or in a horse and buggy.
Yeah, he's walking.
And in a horse and buggy, you can see where a mistake might happen. But I do not understand how people that are walking get hit by trains. So he must have been getting heavy into the communion wine.
Yeah, I do buy that. I was going to say, I don't buy that the horse broke down on the train tracks.
No, they get spooked and they won't move. They're big beasts. I mean, like, you can control them. Well, actually, you can't. Lots of people do, but I'm just saying, like, they train them is what I mean.
Being that we have been there and we saw those streets, I can see this man walking.
Yeah.
Probably was hitting the booze.
In the sauce. Yeah, I totally saw him always as walking, and then it just kind of dawned on me, how did he get hit by the train? But it happened. Either way. And locals, including parishioners, have reported seeing Father McLeod's ghost walking along the streets near the church's buildings, including the rectory, as well as by the railroad tracks themselves.
Ooh.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yes. That makes so much sense. God, you remember when we were there and the guy that had, like, turned us on to this place, I don't remember his name, Alex, Aaron,
no,
Joe,
never
don't remember who. You remember? But he was like, you guys got to come see this place. And we're like, okay, sure. And we went there and he was like, hey, he got the redheaded chick or whatever to go with him to the train tracks. Remember? Because we were like, oh yeah, they're going to go to the train tracks.
We thought they were up to something and they were really trying to investigate.
Right.
Such assholes. And I knew this story when we were there too. I don't know why that didn't dawn on us or whatever. We are assholes, okay? So somebody's like, what are you doing after this? We're like, why are you asking? And he's probably like, we can go to IHOP and get some breakfast. So what's wrong with you ladies? I mean,
That's so funny.
Carry knives and mace with us. Like, this is
we expect the worst out of everybody that's out there. Unless you're women asking for us to take photos of you two in front of other buildings. Then we're like, oh, they're so cute. Let's take pictures of them.
No. Because that guy, which we cannot remember his name, and I looked up his paranormal group, and they are not active anymore, so I could not find his damn name. He was very nice when we met him originally at the Ashmore estate.
Ashmore, yeah.
I don't know. We just got stupid at the Sedamsville. Nope, I always want to call it that. At Sedamsville, we thought that he was trying to, like, come on to us. I don't know what kind of mood we were in, so,
Well, the whole atmosphere, the vibe, I guess, that we kind of received.
That would cause that.
Yeah.
So, yes. But let's get back to the hauntings. While Father McLeod is a tale of a gentle, kind clergyman haunting the grounds, there is another man of God that fell very, very far from grace that is said to have left a mark on the Sedamsville Rectory. This one may explain the negative activity some people report. And this is a warning to everyone. This is a sensitive subject I'm about to talk about. John B. Burning was ordained by the Archdiocese of Cincinnati in 1934. He assisted at parishes in Cincinnati, Hamilton, Middleton, Dayton, Mechanicsburg, North Lewisburg, Lebanon, Waynesville, and Sedamsville before retiring in 1970.
He was all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was important to note it, given what we'll find out about him later. So respect for all those people that had to encounter.
Douchebag.
He's an asshole. About to tell you he's an asshole. So after retirement, Burning relocated to St. Petersburg, Florida. In 2003, a man filed suit claiming Burning sexually abused him as a boy from 1957 to 1965, while the priest was pastor of Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Sedamsville. 5 more men subsequently sued claiming abuse by burning at 2 different parishes in the 1950s and the 1960s. Yeah. The Archdiocese of Cincinnati confirmed that they received letters from Father Burning admitting to this abuse during his career as a priest in October of 2002. Yeah. However, criminal charges were impossible because we have dumb laws that protect criminals for some reason that include statute of limitations, and those had expired decades before.
That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
Bullshit.
And he knew, and that's got to be why he admitted to it, because at this point he feels like he can cleanse himself of these sins that he did because he is a man of God. So he's got to fess up, but I'll wait until after statute of limitations and I'm washed clean of my sins, right?
Right. And though the lawsuit was filed in 2003 and he wrote this letter in 2002, I have a feeling he must have known that lawsuit was coming.
Yeah.
You usually get notified of those things before they're actually filed. So that is probably the only reason he wrote those letters. And the church's new zero tolerance guidelines for removing abusive priests does not apply to priests who no longer serve active ministry because of age or health problems. So when the question of whether burning would be formally removed from the church came up, the Archdiocese lawyer Mark Vanderlong said, "It's a possibility, but his extremely advanced age is a factor that is supposed to be taken into consideration."
Oh, shit.
And then nothing else was done by the Archdiocese.
Yeah, that was it. They're like, and it's under the rug. Sweep, sweep, sweep.
We have rules. If they're really old, we don't care.
So fucking creepy.
Burning died at the age of 97 in November of the next year. In those years, the Our Lady of Perpetual Help schooled somewhere between 120 to 93 boys and 122 to 90 girls. Then not to mention all the other parishes this piece of dirt was stationed at. The countless other helpless children he could have encountered. In my opinion, he is a disgrace to humanity, and I am sure he will not be missed by anyone. The fact that he has the balls to try to absolve himself and say, yeah, I did it. And actually his letter was real bullshit. He was like, I did it once, one day. I don't remember that day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
And I wish I could stop there and tell you that this was the only negative energy that could have infused itself to the foundation of the Sedamsville Rectory. But just get ready to call this the douchebag episode because I have one more very shitty story to share with you.
Douchebag it up.
During the process of renovation of the rectory, volunteers from the Midwest Preservation Society, which Tim Brazil and Terry Scott are members of, began reporting being bitten and scratched by unseen forces within the building. The team also found cages and other paraphernalia associated with dogfighting in the basement of the rectory. Many believe that it is very possible that the Sedamsville Rectory once played host to illegal dogfighting events. Many pointed the finger at a local Cincinnati man who was arrested by authorities in 2007 and sentenced to 13.5 years in prison for breeding fighting dogs in the basement of his Cincinnati home and having connections to other dogfighting rings from New York to Florida to Texas.
Yeah.
This man is said to have sometime refereed fights involving former NFL star Michael Vick's dogfighting operation Bad News Kennels. However, there is no actual evidence either of these men ever attended dogfighting events at the Sedamsville Rectory.
I didn't know about this story when we went there. I don't know if you knew about this story when we went there.
No, I didn't.
I thought so. I thought that this was news to us while we're there because we're like, that's really fucked up. But neither one of us either went back home and we're like, let's make sure that that shit actually happened.
Yeah. And if we would have watched Haunted Collectors, which came out well before we were there, they researched and they didn't talk about Michael Vick, but they researched this dogfighting case that this other Cincinnati man was arrested in because it was like one of the biggest busts in the United States at the time.
Okay.
Dogfighting, unfortunately, kind of continues somewhat, too, so I don't know if there's been bigger busts. But at the time, it was a pretty big deal. and they kind of looked at the records just like I did, and Sedamsville Rectory was never listed as a place that was investigated by the FBI or where they took evidence from or anything like that.
So it seems like, maybe you're going to tell me some more, but it seems like they just kind of latched on to another story and ran with it as a possible.
Well, I mean, when we were there, yes. When they kept trying to pull in Michael Vick's name and stuff, yes. They were latching on to what was happening or the big names in those cases of dogfighting. However, I do believe it is very, very possible that former tenants of the rectory were partaking in this horrible, highly illegal act of dogfighting, or at least extreme animal abuse. I mean, something was happening there. If you watch any of the episodes that this location is featured on, they show you pictures of the damage done to doors and to the walls that are just not done by animals that are well taken care of.
Right.
Not to mention, several people, including ourselves, have captured EVPs of dogs barking and even whimpering. We have 2 audio clips from our investigation there of both. We heard what sounds like multiple dogs to me, because it was a lot of barking, in one clip that I believe was taken down in the basement, and then a loud whimpering that I think we got on the second floor, but you can remind me. I have notes on it, but I didn't write them down right here. So
the dogs barking on audio stood out so much to us when we went back and reviewed our clips, because the place was dead silent aside from actual people's voices, and nobody there was mimicking the sound of a dog. And if they had, it would sound like a human mimicking the sound of a dog, not a dog mimicking the sound of a dog. I don't know how to put it.
No, it's also so loud. I never remembered how loud it is. I knew that we had this EVP, but until, like, you know, right before we do these kinds of stories, places we've been to, we always review our evidence, refresh our memory and stuff, and pick out the really good stuff. So this was so heartbreaking to listen to, but also so impressive because it's so obvious that it's in the house.
Yeah.
It is that loud, guys. And I listened to it without headphones. I did turn the volume up pretty loud, but I was at work. So there's other things going on. I was trying to do it with distractions and without headphones and see if it was really as loud as, I mean, like I thought it was. And it was. Yeah. It was so loud. You can tell it's not a dog from next door. Not that we even saw anything like that or experienced it when we were outside. We never heard other dogs barking. But it's so loud. You can tell it's not coming from outside. And also, no one is reacting to it.
Right.
No one is being like, that dog next door is so loud. Or what's that dog whimpering? Because the whimpering one is horrible.
It is.
And no, I mean, somebody would say something about that, and nobody does.
Nobody mentions it. I remember those EVPs very, very clearly. It's as clear to me as the Raptor EVP that we got from Illinois. It's like, why is that noise there? It's so strange and nobody's reacting to it. It doesn't make any sense.
And you have a little dog. You have a little Harry Dachshund, but she's a little arf, 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 bark.
Yeah.
You know, mine are bigger dogs. They're an English pointer and a lab, a fat little short lab, but she's a lab. They can bark.
Yeah.
But they do not even sound like these barks. These sound like dogs in distress. These sound like dogs that are pissy for their fucking food or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, my dogs don't ever bark at me like that. They just follow me around the house and stare at me when they're like, bitch, it's dinner time. Like, have you not looked at the clock? It's
right.
5:30. What are you doing? I'm starving.
They just stare at you. They don't bark.
Last night I was working on this podcast and I just was distracted, not paying attention. I was waiting for something before I could make dinner. And then the dog, they're just standing around me. And I'm like, what? I'm just standing in the kitchen reading my podcast. I'm not making food. And then I'm like, oh, wait, you want dinner. It's 6:00. I'm so sorry. But I mean, my dogs have never in their life ever barked like that is what I'm saying, getting at.
Yeah.
They've never had to go through that kind of stress or anger or whatever. These were not good sounds from an animal, but they are obviously coming from a dog.
Very clearly coming from a dog.
Yeah. So, yeah. With disgustingly terrible acts like those taking place in one location, you could totally see where negative energy may be coming from.
Yeah.
In the episode of Ghost Adventures, Father Jack Ashcraft was called to perform some kind of ceremony to rid the building of possible demonic entity.
Interesting.
However, Ashcraft stated after the show to reporters that Ghost Adventures, of course, did make it seem much more dramatic than the experience actually was.
It is a TV show, guys.
Duh. I mean, it doesn't make it exciting.
Right.
Ashcraft added the demon. Nope. He didn't add the demonic.
He did!
He did. He
you
did
get
it.
a demonic energy, and you get a demonic energy.
Listen, I watched the episode. He looked like if this was faked or, dramatized by Ghost Adventures, he took part in that shit.
Uh-huh.
Because he agreed, with the shit that so if they're on the side telling him, hey, say this next, or whatever, he went along with it. It wasn't like he was standing around being and they're all freaking out about something and he's like, what? That's not a big deal. But anyways.
I've seen Catholic priests before look happy. This guy just looks like he's got a scowl.
I like the priests that they bring on now with the long hair.
I love them.
She looks like she's ready for fucking battle.
Yeah.
And he's all like, yeah, let's bless this place. That would be the right thing to do.
Right.
And she's like, all right, guys, this is what we're doing. She's like the person I want when an apocalypse happens.
Definitely. She looks like she's probably someone who carries a blade on both sides of her.
Oh.
She's just
and everything.
She pulls back her leather vest and it's just blades all the way down. And she's like, what are we working with tonight, guys?
Yeah. She sounds a little country to me. That's just, and I mean that in a good way because that's, I relate and I'm like, this is the lady I want taking care of me.
Yeah.
And he seems to know his stuff. So I like the pairing, the priest. I don't know his name, but whoever they use now, those two are the best. So Father Ashcraft, he stated on the show that it was dramatized, He said that demonic forces are usually very responsive to even a house blessing. Furniture will spontaneously fly across the room and disembodied voices can be heard. But he said none of that happened during his time at the rectory, which it didn't if you watch the episode. Right. Ashcraft said, and I quote, when we were there was only one experience we had, a strange sulfuric smell, which he believes isn't real evidence since the smell could have come from anywhere. But I find it super odd that we had a similar experience, which was followed by a pretty huge moment for us. We invested the location October 20th, 2012. The moment I am referring to came pretty much at the end of our night. As we were coming down the attic steps and entered into the butler's quarters, we both heard an alarm going off.
Yeah.
It was a motion detector alarm, but we couldn't tell where it was coming from exactly. We also couldn't hear anyone else on that level. Not to mention, we had just left the attic where they had monitors showing all the hot spots throughout the house. So there was cameras everywhere. And the second floor was supposed to be empty. We moved slowly down the short hallway and made our way past the butler's stairs. And as you started to enter what was called the creepy room, you tell me that you smell a strong odor that hits you and it smells like something foul.
Yeah.
Stop in your tracks and then we kind of have a short debate on whether we should actually enter this room or not given the smell, and then we pretty much decide, well, this is what we're fucking here for, and we decide to start trying to go into the room. Just as you cross the threshold, you took a step back and then you turn left towards the stairs and then tell everyone what you saw.
Yeah, I got this feeling. I crossed the threshold into the creepy room. I did not feel like I should be there. I felt like I should get out, right away. I backed up, and to my left are the butler stairs, as Wendy said, and I'm carrying a night vision camera, but because I'm an idiot, I was using it for the flashlight function instead of the actual recording function that I bought it for, to record the paranormal. But since we were walking through the dark, I'm like, hey, it's also a flashlight, so let's use the flashlight function. And as I spin around my DigiBlue with the flashlight function, it passes through the stairwell and I see somebody standing there holding the stair rail. I can see like basically a shadow. I don't see features. I don't see skin tone. I don't see clothes. It's a shadow. It's the arm, like the top part of the arm. So, and I could see that it's extended. So in my brain, I say that it's holding the stair railing. I see that. I see the shoulder and I see the head and the other shoulder. And like I said, it's just a black image. I mean, this was all a matter of seconds, guys. It wasn't like, as I'm explaining this to you, it seems like it's in slow motion because that's how I'm remembering it. I've thought about this moment so many times, but it was a matter of seconds. I spun around with my camera and all I saw was that black shadowy figure. And I like kind of jumped back. I jumped into Wendy. I screamed because it startled me. I didn't expect to see this person on the stairs. So that was my, as I've said before in this podcast, my natural knee-jerk reaction is to scream. So it was weird. I jumped back. All of a sudden, Wendy had like rushed into me. You know, I panicked. I screamed because I see something. Wendy rushed into me. She hit me in the back of my elbow with her camcorder. And I couldn't tell if she was freaking out because I was freaking out. I didn't know what was happening. But she was rushing me. And I'm trying to like calm her down. And I turn and I'm like, Wendy, it's okay. And then I remember, you're not really saying anything. You're just kind of shooken up looking at me. And I thought that was because I jumped. I thought that I had startled you.
Right,
and
yeah.
I turned back to tell whoever it was that I saw on the stairs, I'm so sorry that I fucking freaked you out. There's nobody fucking there. And then I'm like, well, what the fuck really just happened? You know, I was totally fucking confused. And I know at that point, you were like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't even know what to fucking tell you. I don't know. Everything that I just did had a reason until I turned back around to tell dude on the stairs that I was sorry for freaking him out. There was no dude there on the stairs. So now what the fuck is happening?
So, you know, you right away smell this smell and you're stronger with the smells and you had a bad sense going in there. And I'm like, well, you go in. If you don't go in there, I'm not going in there. So it's like, whatever you want to do, following your lead. Then when you scream and you jump back into me, I didn't run into you like I'm trying to grab you because I'm scared too. I actually was trying to save your life.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm such a fucking dumbass and I'm right-handed and I hold my camera in my right hand. I go to grab your arm to pull you into the other hallway because it seems whatever you were reacting to, it was to our left. So I was going to pull you away from it. However, like I said, camera in hand, can't grab anything. So I just punch you in the arm with my camera.
Like my arm hurts.
My body is still trying to move to the right. However, it is so fucking weird. I just hit like an invisible wall. I have never felt this in my entire life, but I just hit an invisible wall, something that just would not let me move anymore. It wasn't like I was in shock and I froze. I was in motion. And then it was like, nah, bitch, you're not going anywhere. And we just stopped. And then I just stayed stunned. And yeah, you were turning around telling me, I'm okay. I think you were even trying to like have me let go of you. I think my other arm was trying to grab at you still or something.
Yeah.
And like, I'm fine. Basically, get your fucking hands off me. You're beating me. You know?
I think I told you that.
Yeah.
You're hurting me.
You were like, you're abusing me. Can you stop? And I am just like standing there like, staring at my invisible wall and I'm just like, what the fuck? But here you are having your own thing, looking at the stairs, and you were like, someone was just there. They were just there. And I'm like, what are you saying? And it was like we were stoned,
right?
But we weren't. And it was just like the weirdest thing ever. We both had these like totally separate kind of experiences, but all from this one thing. I don't know what was going on in this one spot, I guess you would say.
It was crazy, and an experience like none other that I've had, and because all of our experiences are quite different. The smell, the feeling, what I saw, and then being rushed by Wendy, like acting like, she's trying to save me or trying to grab me. I didn't really know what was happening, but her reaction was so unique as well. Like, she's latched on to me before, but it's almost as if like in a playful manner, not in a, I need to save
like
you.
in fake haunted house.
Yeah, in fake haunted houses. Like, I feel I'm kind of choking.
But like when you screamed at the bird cage, I didn't touch you.
No, you were,
I simply said, what?
Right.
What was it? What did you see? Now, you put me in a haunted house, and there's some weirdos coming up trying to jump scare me. Oh, I'm yanking Chris's purse off her fucking shoulder.
This is so funny.
To hide behind it.
But this was one of those situations that left us both. I mean, it's hard to get us to shut up. This was one of those moments where we were speechless. And Wendy's like, I need to know what happened to you. And she wanted me to tell her right away because something had happened to her. And I didn't realize that because I was just so like confused.
Because it's the oddest thing to explain, and it's so unfair. You get to see a shadow figure, and I'm like, yeah, I tried to move this way, and it was like I bounced into an invisible thing. I mean, how do you explain that? Nothing's there, but I swear to you, I was trying to move, and it wouldn't let me, and I don't know if it was a spirit standing there being like, no, you can't go, or if it was some kind of protective bubble that had been thrown around us, because we were safe, and we were fine. But it just felt so weird because it did not want us to move from this space.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's the way it was. And you weren't going anywhere anyways because I paralyzed you.
This was such a memorable moment for me where we coming down from the attic and we both heard this loud, alarming noise. And we didn't even know it at the time that it was the camera alarms going off because it was sensing some motion. It might have been sensing us. It might have been sensing something else. We don't know because we weren't able to get any answers. But we both came down the stairs. And
it was so strange, too, because we were up in the attic for quite a while because the group never went up there to investigate, and we didn't get a whole lot from the attic. I did note that we got a breath, which I know that's not a big deal, but the cool thing about the breath is that we heard it in the moment. Like, we both comment afterwards, did you just hear that? And it's like a gasp or something like that. And that was the only thing we got in the attic. And so we're like, nothing's happening up here. Let's go downstairs. And as soon as you walk down those steps, it's like, what the fuck is that noise? And why does this feel weird? And then the smell, and then the person, and then the bubble. And it was like, I mean, it was insane.
This breath that we heard up in the attic was that shadow figure like, come the fuck on. It's time for me to go to bed.
It was waiting on the steps. Just like,
he was like waiting. And my dumbass picked him up and I'm like, wait, I can't go in this room right now. Maybe I'll spin around. Holy shit, there you are. And he's like, I thought I was being cool. I was trying to be sneaky, just trying to go upstairs. These two dummies won't leave me alone. Of course, Bubbles like, you will see him. Boom.
No, face it.
No.
Like, when have I ever tried to save you from a situation anyways? It's
usually trying to throw me into it.
I swear to you, that's what I was trying to do, though. I was trying to grab your arm, and I was trying to move into the other hallway because we were in front of the bad room or the creepy room or whatever, and I thought it'd be safer in the main hallway, and we just couldn't go there. And we also...
That's why I turned around. I was telling you, no, it's okay, because you were dragging me away.
Oh, so like my other arm was probably... Or still trying to... I was still probably hitting you with the camera. Who knows? But
I had a bruise in one side and then nail marks on the other side from Wendy beating me and dragging me.
We did get an EVP at that moment too. Not at that specific moment, but afterwards, as you're trying to tell me what's going on, you're like, you can hear in the clip a little bit that you're saying like, it just doesn't make any sense. They were just here. And there's an EVP that says, shut up.
That's right. Because dude was trying to go upstairs. He's like, no, shut up. Don't tell her anything. It's got to be what it is.
Yeah. So those were two very interesting EVPs kind of in that time frame that all this happened, and it was a really weird experience for us. And we stood there for a long time just kind of recounting exactly what happened to us. And as we were retracing every step, we noticed that the alarm that we heard earlier, it had just stopped and no one had come to that floor and like turned it off. So why?
Right. It was so weird, man.
It was so weird. All of this whole activity was so crazy and so explosive for us. And now this was like the building's grand finale for us.
It really was.
I would say. We did walk away with other interesting experiences from earlier in the night.
Yeah.
And over the years, Sedamsville has for sure shown up in a big way for many other paranormal investigators. Father Ashcraft seems to think nothing is going on at Sedamsville Rectory, but I found post after post of other paranormal investigators who have visited the location multiple times and have reported all kinds of activity. Dave Spinks, a paranormal investigator and fellow podcaster, actually. Oh. His podcast is called My Alien Life. He investigated the rectory in 2013, along with friends Sean Austin, Phil Arnon, and a man who goes by the name L.A. Beast.
What?
Which I'm not trying to be mean, but dude, stop that.
I get it.
I wouldn't.
I get it. I go by elusive Hydra sometimes. It just depends on the circles.
You do. Yeah. So during their visit, as they started to explore the attic, Dave began to feel a burning on his face, and then he realized that it had been scratched.
So crazy. I wonder if they were provoking.
I didn't find out whether they were or not, but he's talked about it on other shows and stuff. I bet he wouldn't admit to it. You know, it's kind of frowned on.
Yeah.
Then, after a while, they moved downstairs and set up their equipment on the first floor. They were using a ghost box, and after a few questions, they began to hear voices of small children. The voices seemed to be asking for help, but as they continued to talk to the ghost box, another voice appeared. Dave described that voice as a deep voice that seemed to be growling. As they kept trying to communicate with the so-called child spirit, the growling got worse and worse.
Are these clips available? Have you heard them?
No, they just talk about it they've talked about it on various other radio podcast shows. You know, this was a while ago. And that's it. I didn't find any clips necessarily, definitely not of these moments.
I would be interested to listen to them and hear if it's like growling like a dog.
Yeah.
I know that there's some dark shit that happened here too, so I understand that growling is also commonly associated with demonic entities.
Right.
So this could go either way.
Yeah, and from a lot of the shows that you watch and these scratches and stuff like that, they could have easily been done by an animal, you know? Given a lot of the scratches tend to happen in the basement too. It didn't for these guys, but on those shows it did. In Haunted Collectors, an investigator got scratched on the back in the basement. And then Terry Scott's father also got scratched in the basement.
Interesting.
And then Tim Brazil, he had really nasty scratches. Almost like, I mean, those had to be bites or like he slid down a hill or something. Those look like burns, you know?
I mean, I want to say that from the Ghost Adventures show, he had been was it him or was it her? He was the primary target, wasn't he?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Uh-huh.
She was just really upset.
Right. But as they were hearing this growling and it got worse and worse, Phil began to complain that his back was burning, and they lifted his shirt and they discovered a vertical line scratched down his back. Then they all watched as another line appeared on his back. The lines intersected in a way that made an upside down cross.
Oh.
Like I said, I didn't see any footage of this whole thing, but it's so funny. I did not remember this until I reread our account from the night on our website, which is just silly that I didn't remember this. But I guess it's because it wasn't to the level of what Phil experienced. But I had noted to you that I felt like something scratched my back while we were there. It was at the beginning of our night at the rectory. We had pretty much just started, really. It was a public ghost hunt. So the huge group of people that were there were piled into one of the second floor bedrooms doing a group EVP session with the guest host for the night, Patrick Burns and Marley Gibson. Patrick is better known from the true TV show Haunting Evidence, and Marley is an author. Both of them now live and work running a tour company in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh.
Yeah, I looked them up just to check and make sure they were still in the biz.
Hey, we chatted with them.
They were very nice. Okay, let's pause that nice thing. They were very nice while they were talking to us.
Yeah.
But let me dig a little deeper into this. While the group was doing the EVP session, we lingered in the hallway. You had noted that you were hearing all kinds of whispering, and you were trying to listen closely to what it was saying.
I remember that very clearly.
It's like as soon as they started, they were kind of like asking questions and stuff. You were like, what the fuck? You know, we were standing in the hallway, and I think you had headphones on.
Yes, I did.
With your recorder, right? So you're like hearing stuff, and you're like, I keep hearing stuff.
Yeah.
And nobody was supposed to be talking because we were supposed to just, like, the guest hosts are asking a question, and then we're waiting for a response on their recording device. But you're talking about whispering, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, I feel like something just scratched my back. And I asked you to take a look at it. However,
we couldn't see.
No, it was dark in the hallway, and we're supposed to be involved in this whole group EVP session that's going on. So we didn't want to turn on flashlights and all kinds of things and fully examine it to interrupt what was going on.
Well, now we know better. Now we know fuck politeness.
100%. But also let me tell everyone this. Guys, this is the issue with public ghost hunts. A lot of times when you are looking at these events online, they do not ahead of time tell you how the event will be laid out.
Right.
Some allow you to freely investigate on your own. And sometimes that means it's organized and they will say X amount of people go to this area for a certain amount of time and then you switch off throughout the night. And sometimes it's a wild free-for-all and people are all over the place, which can be an issue with EVPs and photos. It worked fine for Moundsville, but, you know, that can be a problem. It got wild in Waverly towards the end when they allowed that.
Oh, yeah. It really got wild in Waverly. But in some of the bump in the night tours that we took, it seemed like either those people had, the ones that would get wild, had either gotten scared off and left the, you know, the actual ghost hunters to do their thing. Or I don't know, but the bump in the night tours always seem to work out for us.
Yeah, they do. We do really appreciate that. Thank you, Troy Taylor, for putting that together.
Right.
This event, however, pretty much was all 30 of us, and 30 is just a guessing number, but it felt like that many, moving from room to room together, and the guest host ran the investigation.
Yeah.
And we were only allowed to sit back and watch. We had no idea it was going to be like this, and we were not happy about it.
We're not very comfortable with being in controlled by others types of environments anyways. If we're there to investigate, we want to investigate. We didn't realize going in that we had to be supervised. It wasn't until very late that we could actually freely investigate. We had to be part of the group and we couldn't partake.
Yeah, I don't pay to watch you to investigate. I came for the location, not for you. I apologize. I'm not taking your evidence home, so I want my own. Every time we felt like we were having a paranormal experience of our own, we either couldn't fully investigate it, like the back scratch, or we were told to be quiet.
We got hushed.
Yep.
I'm like, no, but there's something going on. And they're just like, we're involved in this ordeal in here. I'm like, okay, you guys are, but there's some shit going on here in the hallway that I'd rather check out.
Would anybody like to know about this? I mean, you would think that people would, and there were some people that would announce something's going on and they wouldn't shush them, but they shushed us unknowns from far away. So one of those times was when, again, we were standing in the hallway because they were doing an EVP session in another bedroom that was upstairs on the second level. And as we're standing in the hallway, they hadn't quite started yet, but they were really close. They were trying to get everybody quiet to get started.
This is on the opposite end, right?
Yeah, the opposite end of where the back scratch kind of happened. We're hearing the whispers. It's at the other end of the hallway right by the mirror, and there's 2 bedrooms. They're in one, and there's one right behind us. And we hear a noise, so we look behind us, and just in time, we saw the door creep open on its own, which, you know, when I thought about that and I was writing that and rereading it and stuff, I thought that was the time a door opened and we didn't we didn't like give up and go sleep in our
That's
car.
so true. You know what? But I think at this point we were like, this is really unreasonable. This stuff is happening and nobody seems to care about the paranormal at this paranormal event. What is really fucking going on? I think it works out well for us when there's a lot of other people there and we're like, this is happening. Look. And we just end up looking like kooks and we don't go sleep in the car. But we get all the evidence. We're like, yeah, I saw that.
Well, we didn't catch it on video or anything like that because I was filming the event that was going on, these people, and I turned just my head to look and we didn't see the door open. It startled us and we did try to inform the group of what was going on in the hallway. Like we said, we were quickly told to be quiet and not to interfere with the session. And they did not say it in a polite manner either. They talked to us like we were children.
At this point, it seemed like we were the outcasts at this event. And we're just like, what the fuck is... does anybody else notice this? No.
No, because they all know each other.
Right. Like what?
They weren't outcasts. We were.
That was so weird.
And at the end of the night, when our big experience happened, after we collected ourselves, we right away went downstairs and tried to share it with the group. But no one in the room seemed to have any interest in what we were saying. They all just looked at us, yet said nothing. Now listen, lots of people have come to us and told us their paranormal experiences and stories, and sometimes they sound so extreme that you're just like, I find that highly doubtful. But we have never just stared at someone and said nothing.
Right.
It's rude. It was just rude to invite someone out to experience the paranormal together, and then when they try to share with you their excitement of their evening, the highlight of their evening, you just stare at them and make them feel uncomfortable. The whole night, multiple people made us feel unwelcomed and uncomfortable. And that's probably why we thought the guy from, I'm not even going to say it, but that's probably why we felt uncomfortable by him. It was the presence of everyone else there just setting us off.
Yeah, it had become clear at that moment, the feeling that we were suspecting the whole night, it was now straight up in our faces. It was like, you are the troublemakers. You've been trying to, get our attention all night long, and you're still here.
And tell you about paranormal stuff anyways.
Fucking weird, man.
I don't know what their deal was about. We had never been there. We are not from Ohio or the area or anything like that. And so maybe they did just not know. They could not trust us. But like I said, we would never behave that way with other people. So we're just shocked that other people did. All those times we've joked on this podcast about unkind people in the paranormal community, this was the location we were referring to. This was the investigation that has always given us such mixed emotions. We aren't going to point fingers or blame this group that was involved with organizing the event. We are going to be better people than that. There's no need for us to bring those names up or those people up.
It was just a weird vibe. The house had a weird vibe, and people just had I don't know.
It was just weird. It like I said, they just made us feel very unwelcomed and uncomfortable all night. But somehow we still walked away with one of the wildest experiences we've ever had. And we even got evidence. We got evidence despite our lack of freedom during this investigation. And, it still was a productive night for us. We just had to go through some kind of shit to get it,
Yeah. The fact that people wouldn't believe us, even though it's a ghost hunting experience, like, what?
It wasn't. I mean, experiences were happening. Everybody could have partook in this. We didn't open that door, and nobody wanted to investigate that. They're just doing their EVP session. That's all that they were instructed to do.
I don't know. I guess had we known going in that such and who's its wife, Bob?
Patrick Burns and Marley Gibson.
Maybe those other investigators that were there were big on their spiel, knew that it was going to be about them, where we didn't know that going in, and that could be the whole reason why they were like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that they want to watch them do their thing. Maybe that's what it was. We did not know those people were going to be there, but typically we have, as much as we love Nick Groff and Ghost Adventures and all these other people we watch, we have never gone to one of those kind of events because we go for the location.
Exactly.
We don't go to mingle with celebrities, I guess.
No. It's cool if you want to show up.
So I'm not super against it.
Right.
I'm always intrigued by it, but I'm a cheap bastard.
Their events are way expensive.
And I think about, like, our experience at Sedamsville, and I'm like, nope. I will be so angry if I can't actually investigate myself.
It was a real eye-opener kind of a place to be.
Yeah, it really was. But we did really get some evidence. We got some interesting photos that had some shadows in it that were very strange. We got one in a second floor bedroom right outside where I got scratched and you were hearing the whispers. We got another shadow kind of in the basement. We got a very interesting photo in the hallway. Yeah. I don't know if it's in the mirror or if it's, I have the picture too on my phone. I was going to send it to you in case you didn't remember it. But now I can't remember. Was it just standing in the hallway in front of the mirror or was it in the mirror?
Was it the DigiBlue picture or was it the daytime like Canon shot?
It's green. It's in the mirror.
Okay.
I see it now.
Yeah.
And it looks like a legit person.
Yeah.
It's really strange because it almost looks like they have a bag and everything, like they've got a purse. But we were the only people in the hallway, and I could show you a picture of what I was wearing that night. I had a backpack on, not a purse to my side. So I'm also not this thin. So.
We studied these pictures. I know I did anyways. And I know that you have, just based on what you said. I don't know if anyone else that's visited the site has studied these pictures or have even gone to oh God, I'm going to say it wrong because I've been saying it Sedamsville and you call it Sedamsville.
Yes, I watched all the shows and when they were saying Sedamsville, I'm like, what? We've always said Sedamsville, but yeah, everybody said it that way though.
I got to ask you something about this picture. Do you see the two kind of whiter eyes where the head should be?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not a fucking human, dude. This picture is crazy. That is not neither of us. And again, I know we've talked about this before. Your brain can tell you that there's something else there because it's trying to put some shit in. And I like that this was back in the day when we were still circling images too. Like we haven't done that in forever, but it's like right fucking here. Look, it's right here.
Just in case you don't see it.
This image creeped me out. This was during the time that we were sitting in the hallway floor. No one was standing up. And I was taking picture after picture after picture with the DigiBlue. That's why it's all green. Nobody was standing there. That's why this picture stood out to me.
Yeah. And this, I'm sending you the picture just so you have it and you don't have to search for it, of what that hallway actually looks like. So you can match up kind of the railing and everything. And then this is what I look like, which actually it is hard to tell whether I have another bag by my side or not because I see this black strap and stuff. I don't really know what I got going on. But I think they made us wear, like, what do they call them? Landers or something? I don't know. They made us wear stuff around our neck.
Yes,
no?
We had lanyards. We got this guest pass.
Yeah. So I think that's partly what's around my neck. And it's not, because sometimes I do have a backpack and then my actual camera bag, but not often. I try to get everything in one bag.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
You have like your audio sometimes taped to your shirt.
Well, yeah, and that'll be on my stomach usually, and this person has nothing in that kind of area.
Look at how long your hair was.
That's what I sent you. That's why I sent you. When I was trying to look at this figure in the thing, and then I went back to look at what I was wearing to see if it looks anything like this, and then I noticed with my hair in a ponytail, I was like, fuck, my hair is long. And then I found the picture from Bobby Mackey's, and I was like,
yeah, damn.
I can't grow that shit.
It's like down your back long. But I love that we do that. Our method of ghost investigation, which a lot of people do the same thing, they get there early. They take pictures during the day so that when they catch something that might seem paranormal, they can put those pictures side by side and say, okay, there was a fern there in the hallway. I couldn't see that on this picture because it's fucking dark. But because I have the daylight picture to go with the nighttime picture, I can see that fern was right there. It's that elliptical in the middle of the night that's holding your shirt. And it's like, could that be a ghost? Or, is it the elliptical with the shirt? And what Wendy just sent me is one of those examples so that we could see where the banister is for the stairway and where this person who happened to be standing in the same area that we were sitting on the floor, where I was hearing whispers and where Wendy had got her back scratched.
It's pretty impressive because I know we were pretty much the only ones ever standing in the hallway. I don't recall anyone else doing that. They all were in the room and we're the ones in the hallway, and it's not me. I double checked to like what I was wearing and everything.
Right.
Just to make sure, because this was a long time ago. So that was, I really liked that photo. That's my favorite, like recapping what we got while we were there. I was really dug that. Like I said, we did get a handful of great EVPs as well. We got an EVP on the porch. We had been down in the basement. The whole group was doing like an EVP session in the basement, but Chris starts to have a coughing fit and we're not allowed to make noise. So she had to excuse herself. I went with her and we went outside with raccoons to stand on the porch. There really weren't any raccoons while we were there, but they did visit throughout the night. And we got an EVP while we were just standing out there, like catching the night air to help your coughing.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to make out to me what it's saying exactly, but it's something like tearing us apart, tear you apart. Something about tearing apart is in there. I love, these ones that I find are kind of rough to listen to. I love to put them out there for everybody else to listen to. The shut up one that we got earlier in the breath, those are very obvious what they're saying. But like some of these other ones, they're rough. And I don't like to definitively say this is what it's saying, because someone with a better pair of ears might hear something different. And I'm very open to that suggestion. I know you are too. Now, we did get one very loud EVP, but it's so strange because this is when we were still with the group and they were in the kitchen and I was kind of in the hallway. I got kind of forced in the hallway, but I think you were in the hallway as well. And everybody was kind of breaking between playing back EVPs from a recorder, They were breaking from that for a second. And then we get a very loud on your recorder, I'll never. Makes no sense to anything that was going on, but it is so fucking loud.
Nobody commented on it. It was one of those, it's like, oh, there's her recorder. I'm going to put my lips right up to the speaker and say these words. Nobody was that close to me people were close to me, but nobody was in my microphone. And had they, I would have been like, get out of here.
No, you can hear other people talking and you can tell that they're kind of at a distance from you.
They're engaged in the conversation. Right.
Yes, they're talking about something else and this happened. So it's kind of hard because the whole group was right there, but it's very odd how loud this is.
Yeah.
It makes no sense what it was saying. We also got an EVP as soon as we rolled up to the rectory.
Yeah.
We're just stepping out of the car. And again, this is one that I can't make out exactly what it's saying.
This was one of my favorites.
You put on YouTube that it says a new day, but as I listen to it over and over again, I'm like, I don't know what that weird voice is saying. It's a really weird voice. It sounds like a drunk man that roams the neighborhood, rolling by, saying some gibberish to me. But obviously, that didn't happen, or we would have been hiding in the car or something like that.
So we've mentioned this before again, but we start recording like the moment we get to a location, and we do not stop until we are ready to go to bed because we've caught things in the vehicle. After our investigations, we leave them on when we go to the bathroom. I don't like to admit to that, but we do. Anyways, I just don't want to miss anything that could be trying to communicate with us, regardless of what time it happens to be trying to communicate with us. So as soon as we get there, Wendy and I like rush to the back of whatever vehicle we're in and we start like loading up with our equipment. And the first thing we do is we turn that shit on. And I remember as soon as Wendy said, as soon as we got there, I knew exactly which EVP she was talking about because it's sort of like a low, grumbly voice.
Yeah.
And it sounds and I always thought it says, it's a new day, but it is sort of like like a zombie had just strolled by and he's like, I will eat your brains. It could be that too. And we did. We got it right when we got there because we were taking pictures of things and it was almost like instead of it saying, hello, welcome, it's like grumbly, creepy noises instead.
What a way to welcome you. It's a weird voice. And I'd really like our listeners to listen to it and offer us, their thoughts on what it's saying because it's strange.
It is.
then there's all the typical EVPs, you get all the time, the get out of here and the fun little threats like it's haunting you and you'll fall like while you're looking at the steps. I don't know. We got that from this place. They definitely let us know that they were there. Those are kind of lower EVPs, but I think you could still hear them if you turn your volume up, even without headphones. I mean, overall, we definitely didn't walk away empty-handed.
No.
As Sedamsville gave us one of the most thrilling moments, like we talked about, and most of all, it showed us to really appreciate those in the paranormal community that are supportive and do believe in building a safe place for people to share ideals and experiences.
Yeah.
That's what it really taught us. And it gave us a very good scare.
Also, if you have allergies, to make sure that you load up on your Allegra or whatever. But if you don't want to, then that's cool too, because you might get to witness some little raccoons out in the yard.
Well, let me go a little bit further with this, because nobody's going there anymore. June 26th of 2016, Sedamsville Rectory posted on Facebook important announcement. Have you ever wanted to spend the night in the Sedamsville Rectory? This came from their Facebook page. This is your last opportunity. Do not wait any longer. You have until September 10th to do so. Their reasoning for closing was, and I quote, "There have been some disturbing things happening at the rectory lately, so we have reached out to the Archdiocese of Cincinnati to assist us. They will be coming to do a complete blessing and cleansing in a few months. From that moment on, there will be no further investigations permitted at Sedamsville Rectory." Now, in February of 2017, a person complained to the Better Business Bureau. I paid the website $80 to stay the night at the rectory on February 12, 2017. The payment came out of my debit card. I had already been to the rectory twice and had no issues. I always got a text that had a key code to get in.
Oh. Right.
When I got there, I know, weird, right?
Yeah.
Very Airbnb.
Yeah.
When they got there, there was no way to get in and they never received a text. They go on to say, I have previously emailed them in November of 2016 and inquired about the closing of the rectory. I asked if it was still open and if they were taking dates. The email replied back saying yes, they were, but they hadn't put up the calendar yet, but there were open dates. Their website at the time was still active and did not say anything about the rectory being closed. This person says that they came from Tennessee. They rented a car, they rented a hotel room, and took the day off of work. They are simply asking for their $80 back.
Yeah.
And they said if they don't get it, they're going to sue for their whole trip.
Nice.
Somebody, please give this person their $80. They are pissed.
I understand where they're coming from. They got fucking jacked, and they're just like, no, that's not how this shit should work.
No. So Jen from San Francisco on February 2nd of 2018 posted in TripAdvisory.
Oh.
I've been to the rectory before, and it was an amazing experience. So imagine my excitement when the rectory page reached out to me in November and offered my group a hunt for $300. Then they canceled us, claiming pipes froze and burst, which is understandable. It happens. However, they lied and told me they issued a refund when they did not.
Oh, fuck.
And they had stopped replying to my messages. Their Facebook has been turned off.
Damn.
I am not the only person they have done this to either. Buyer beware.
Yeah, right. $300 out. That sucks.
That's not $80.
No.
That's a problem. Now listen to this. So remember John Klosterman, who purchased the rectory in 1995?
All right.
Klosterman actually owns several buildings in Sedamsville. In 2017, the city of Cincinnati sued Klosterman and his wife and companies allegedly connected to the couple for $579,000 in unpaid taxes, fees, and fines. The lawsuit documented a long history of violations by Klosterman, including cases where Klosterman rented out condemned buildings, then evicted the tenants and sued them for rent.
Damn.
He's a slum lord king. Federal prosecutors also filed civil complaints against Klosterman, alleging he sexually harassed female tenants and offered them free or reduced rent for sex. It's a horrible thing to ask for. It's also a violation of the Federal Housing Act, and it's disgusting.
Very disgusting.
You're trying to hustle, whatever. In this 2017 lawsuit against Klosterman, the city listed 72 properties owned by the couple and their businesses. The Rectory is one of them. The Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church as well, a building that has spent years in disrepair. 5 years after Klosterman bought it, the city declared the church unsafe and a public nuisance and targeted it for demolishment. That's when historic preservationists jumped in and raised support to protect the building, the church, and the city taxpayers paid $200,000 to stabilize it.
Shit.
While he's still owning it. Someone else is paying to fix it up.
That's insane.
It is unclear whether that amount of money is a part of the money that Klosterman is being sued for, which isn't going to happen anyways. He's never going to pay that shit back because May of this year he filed bankruptcy.
Yeah, of course. Right.
So Tim Brazil and Terry Scott, in my opinion, from what I collected here, they never owned the Sedamsville Rectory.
Yeah.
I believe that they became associated with it as the Preservation Society stepped in to fix those buildings up. And then they rented the building out to cash in on the paranormal activity, which, hey, I am not knocking. I would love to own my own paranormal place. And I'd Airbnb that shit out. I'd probably bed and breakfast it. I like to host people, you know? Yeah.
But I wonder if that's why Terry always acted so fucking weird.
Why? What do
You know, it was suspicious. Just even on Ghost Adventures. Like, you know, she was always just so worried and things were happening, but she was weird. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, obviously, the whole thing was weird to us. We just said that. But
yeah.
I wonder if she wasn't comfortable with the situation,
with the whole thing.
And she just had to go along with it because this was her life. There was no other way for her to make ends meet unless, you know, she was letting everyone know about the shit that was going on there. I don't know. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. For the longest time, I have kind of felt like they were some shady characters in this whole story. But now that I know a little bit more about it, I'm like, I mean, maybe she didn't really have a choice. And that's why she kind of came off seeming shady. Because you're not giving me anything about these guys other than the fact that they're tenants. They didn't own shit. They just lived there.
And they claimed, not on Ghost Adventures necessary, but on My Ghost Story, they said they bought the rectory. They did not buy it. There's no record of them buying it. And on Haunted Collectors, I believe the same thing was said. However, at the same time, they would say things like, as we started working on the building to restore it with the Preservation Society. So they played both roles, though Ghost Adventures seemed to only kind of refer to them as, you know, they were working in the building. It doesn't matter. You own it, you don't own it, you run it, whatever. It feels like yours. You're renting it and you've been there that long. You're
the names that are associated with this building.
It feels like your home. And we know from experience, paranormal activity is happening. You didn't necessarily make that up. Right. However, your excuse on Facebook definitely seems fucking fishy that you're giving it's because there's crazy activity going on and it just so happens to be around exactly the same time. The true owner of the rectory is being sued by the city. Yeah.
They are shady characters. My initial thought of them was accurate. Okay, fine.
She's also been to acting.
Which we knew. We learned that when we went there. We were like, oh, no. We knew that going into it. It was that we learned somebody else there had also taken like acting classes. And we're like, is this like a family thing? We're just like haunting things up and we're going to act like, oh, I'm so afflicted by these demons in this house. I'm like, is that because you got that from your mama? I mean, we don't know what's going on. We just didn't know who to trust at that point, because when you say I'd been to acting school and you're on TV and then you're at an event and you just seem to be standoffish and we're just trying to get to know you and feel out the place, it's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
Go to acting school. That's cool. But then don't also say...
I took drama in high school. but I'm not making up my experiences. And I'm not saying that they are either. I'm just saying everybody out there that might be listening to this podcast and happens to own a haunted location, there's no need for you to add to it. Let it be itself, because that's what people are truly there for, is to have their experiences at that location. They're not there to watch you.
Right.
They're not, they could sit at home on their couch and watch any of the many paranormal shows that are on TV.
Right.
I didn't come there for a live presentation of it. I don't know if other people do or not, but
No.
we were there just to experience the location ourselves, and we didn't need people to make a show about it. And it kind of felt
Right.
at times like they were.
It was, yeah. Be like the guy from Watsika. Show us around the house, give us the history, and then lock yourself in a room.
Yeah. Oh, and then the guest host for that one, that psychic chicken, he just chilled and entertained his
on the
date
couch
for the rest of the night. But I mean, like, just let the location speak for itself. You don't have to do all of that. And I do believe that there is true activity that's going on there. So whatever excuses they want to put out to protect themselves or just to kind of keep a front, whatever, man. But the truth is that a sexually harassing slumlord owned this fucking property. And, luckily you kind of had your hands on it, Tim and Terry, for a while, and you allowed people in. But right now, it's just kind of sitting there, vacant.
Wow.
All those restless spirits are just stirring inside. I keep waiting to see it come up on auction. I don't know. You want to move to Ohio?
We're going to move to Cincinnati. The Traveling Occult Museum, Greg and Dana live there. So hell to the yes.
They're totally going to buy it before we can buy it.
I don't know, man. I would love for them to buy that, because that would be amazing for all of their haunted items to go into the Sedamsville Rectory. Sedamsville Rectory. I'm never going to be able to correct that, Wendy. I've been calling it Sedamsville for, 11 years?
You have to correct the way that you're saying it. Yeah. They'd be really cool. They buy it. We're totally going back, because I really like her. I like both of them, but I like her.
I love her witch stuff.
Yeah.
And their Hellier series on YouTube, which is free for everyone. The ritual that she does out in the woods to kind of call the spirits before they start their investigation was great. Because the activity that they had come up after she called them was just like, is that because of what you just did? I need the recipe, please. Is that on Pinterest? Please link me. It was just mind-blowing. They're doing great. That thing on YouTube is just mind-blowing. But I would love to go there again.
Well, this was also just a couple of years into us beginning to investigate. So we were newbies. But, the little comments here and there, we are not necessarily going to kind of, I don't know, we're just going to let it happen and stand in the background. But that kind of shit I don't think will happen anymore.
I mean, my thing is I do think that I've become a little bit more mouthier since you and I have started this podcasting thing.
Oh, and it's not because of like our experience level in investigating. No, it's our fucking age. We're just not dealing with your shit anymore. It has nothing to do with we think we're know-it-alls because we've been researching this shit for so long or whatever. No, it's simply like, you know what? No. When I said that this was the place that every time we were talking about negative paranormal people in the community, that this is where it came from. I tried to think back, where else did it come from? Where else did we experience now we've seen some weirdos out there. I mean, those kind of strange people into the paranormal. But I think at most every location that we've gone to, we've interacted with some very kind, good people. This was the only one that we did not find. Well, I mean, I'm just saying there was some good in all of them until this one.
Right. This one really put out a negative vibe to us, and then we were really on the fence of how we should be acting at any of these tours or events that we went to. It's like, well, should we interact or shouldn't we? It's weird because we want to interact, we want to engage, but then everyone was so standoffish. So I feel like Sedamsville came early on. You said that. I don't remember the way it worked. When did Ashmore file into that? Was it before or after?
Oh, it was right before it, because that's how we knew. We met that guy, and he spent the evening with us, and he was super cool. It's where we met Jamie and Robin, our besties that we've met once.
Right. And Ashmore was an incredible experience. It was completely different. Yeah. Everyone there was friendly. I mean, there was a few people, but we didn't have to interact with them. It was the people that we migrated to. They were open-minded and friendly. It wasn't that way at Sedamsville.
No.
Why?
I don't know. The whole vibe was just weird. But
yeah, it was.
Like I said, we got to have our own paranormal experiences, and so it wasn't a wasted trip. Was it the best experience? No. It kind of made us leave there feeling a little shitty about ourselves, because we just hate that we, feeling like outsiders when we shouldn't have to. I mean, we've been outsiders our entire life, and these are supposed to be our people. They're supposed to get it. And for some reason, whatever we were doing wasn't what they were doing, though it looked exactly the same to me. So it was just man, let's rethink this. But, overall, we've recovered from it. We've moved on from it. We don't need it. And it doesn't fucking exist anyways. So it doesn't matter. I mean, this was all a fucking joke in the first place. There's ghosts there at this place. There's something going on there at this place. But whoever was involved in putting this stuff together, they're not involved in it anymore. So what do we care what they're doing with their lives or how they made us feel at the time? We're the people we are. You're always who you are because of everything that you've had to encounter. So if you have a story from this location, before it was closed down because it was seized by the city probably, or any location you want to share with us so that we can share it on the podcast, please email us at creaturesofthenight.paranormal@gmail.com, or message us on any form of social media that we have, like COTN_paranormal on Instagram and COTN paranormal on Facebook and Twitter. Also, don't forget to stop by our shop, The Spirit Emporium, which is full of awesome spiritual products and some t-shirts from our podcast on our website, creaturesofthenightparanormal.com, as well as you can just simply go to Etsy and find us there. Again, it is called The Spirit Emporium to shop for our products, not Creatures of the Night. And last but not least, please, please, please rate and review our podcast on iTunes or anywhere that you listen to this podcast so that we can know how we're doing. We want to make this great for you. So you can help us out by telling us, how we're doing and what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear, I guess.
Yeah, give us some feedback. Let us know if there's a specific location that you haven't heard yet that you're dying to hear about or that you've been to and you want to know more of the history because, I don't know, finding things on Google is too much of a task for you. Well, let us know about it.
It kind of is. It hurts your eyes.
Yeah, it does definitely hurt your eyes. But we love to do that. Write to us and let us know about it. We'll do the research. We'll do the legwork, and then we'll do a whole podcast for you so that you can be pleased. You can just download it and listen to us, your friendly neighborhood ghost hunters. I can't say ghost adventures.
Did you want to say ghost adventures?
I did.
Yes. We're the female ghost adventures. If only Zach would adopt us.
And then we could travel around and then we could just podcast about it.
Hey, Dakota has his own show now, so there's an empty spot, it seems like.
Yeah.
But, that's it. That's all I got for you. That was our experience at the Sedamsville, now that we know how to say it correctly, Rectory near Cincinnati, Ohio. That's it for you.
I would tell you that I loved your story, but I lived it, and I don't.
No, but seeing that apparition was really cool for you, wasn't it?
It was definitely life-changing. I've seen some things. That's the one question I get, Wendy. I don't know if you get that when you actually open up to somebody and you're like, yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator. And the immediate question that I always get is, oh, have you ever seen anything? I always start off with Sedamsville because that rocked my world.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole experience was mind-blowing. We've mentioned it like countless times on various episodes. So now you guys finally got to hear what we're all shooken up about.
You got the full story. You see why we didn't just lead with that early in our podcast. What history? What did we say when we first started this whole thing? We had
podcast adventures.
Yeah, our podcast adventures. We had to get to where we weren't drinking as much so that we wouldn't talk as much shit about the people. So we're both on diets, and so we're doing the lighter alcohols and stuff like that. And so we can do this. It's such a perfect time for us to do this story because we're pretty much sober, and we can be the bigger person and not, I hope we didn't dog people too much, because like I said, the building itself showed up for us. It did its thing, and we appreciate it. And the people that were there, I wish your mamas would have taught you manners a little bit better. And that's it. Yeah. And I don't know what's going on in the Sedamsville area with their landlords and whatnot and tenants and all that jazz. I don't hate on people that buy paranormal properties and then rent them out. That's not it. But don't be liars about things.
That's true.
The evidence can speak for itself. We just told you about it. We saw a fucking ghost there. It's real. You don't have to make stuff up.
Yeah. No.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening so much. And goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.